other than that, it was very unsatisfying because it was just too fast and it seemed too easy for the main characters. You're getting a kind of dark low light video because we are still in like a heat wave, so I've been keeping my curtains closed in order to combat that. Also, it is first thing in the morning and apparently I'm having a bad hair day. So the book that I wanted to talk about today is Earth Called, the final book in the Strange World series by PC Cast. So this book will contain spoilers for this one and the ones that came before it. So if you do not want this book series spoiled for you, I suggest you leave this review and come back to it once you've read it. With that being said, let's get into the characters. So our characters are Mari, Moon Woman, who has the power to heal, and also, since she's mixed race, or a half-breed as they call her, she can also call down Sunfire because her dad was a sun warrior. So we have her. We have Nick, who was the chief of the Sun Warrior tribe before everything went bad. We have Sora, who is another Moon Woman of Mari's tribe. And we have a few other characters, but those are our main characters, including Death himself, who calls himself a god. You have the god of death and the goddess of life, and they are interconnected and balanced. So with that being said, let's get into my thoughts on this book. Once again, this book continues directly after events of the previous book. This is not a series you could read mixed match like you can a lot of romance series. You have to watch these. You have to read these in order to be able to understand the story, because we go from meeting Mari and their tribe and Nick and his tribe and all of that. That sets up our characters and meeting them and sets up how Death gets started. But fair warning, in the earlier books, Death's perspective is very hard to read because he's Death and he's causing a lot of issues for our characters. And on top of that, there's a lot of talk of forced intimacy because there is something in Mari's tribe where if the tribe isn't washed by the moon every third day, they get feverish and aggressive, at least for the males. And there's also a lot of talk of depression in the earlier books because the females, if they're not washed every third day, get severely depressed. So be cautious in reading this series if you want, because those things are very prevalent in the earlier books. But in terms of this book, we see that Death is still moving across the lands and going to the Wind Rider Plains. And if you don't know, the Wind Riders are companions to horses. And once again, I've said it throughout all of these reviews, but this series kind of reminds me of the His Dark Materials series by Philip Pullman, because like that series, they are bonded to the animals that they are with. Like, Nick's tribe is bonded to dogs, and they can feel each other's pain and emotions and talk through thoughts. And this tribe is companions to horses, and they can do the same thing with their horses. So, Death's goal is to awaken life, because they were originally slumbering under the earth, because according to life, they did not want to rule at the same time because it is not good for humanity. So, Death, being lonely without his lover on Earth, is trying to awaken her, and he has his eyes set on Mari because she is the strongest of any of the ones he could have picked, being able to heal and call down fire from the sun. So Death is bound and determined to get to her, And so he's coming to the Windrider tribe because they went there to seek refuge. And so it becomes, now that our tribe is there and they're accepted as part of the Windrider tribe, it's about drawing battle plans and trying to find a way to stop death when you can't stop death. And how are we going to be able to do this if you can't kill him? So this book, I feel, ended very anticlimactically, and because I feel that way, I feel it's only fair to say that there are major spoiler warnings coming up, because I cannot talk about why I felt that this book was anticlimactic without spoiling the whole end of this series. So if you do not want this entire series ending spoiled for you, skip this part and just come back to this review once you've read it, because it was very anticlimactic for me, and I'm going to tell you why. So, assuming everyone that doesn't want the whole series spoiled is gone, I'm going to tell you why I thought this series was anticlimactic. So, Death takes Nick's tribe, completely wipes it out, starts mutating the members of Nick's tribe that agreed to go with him instead of with Nick. One of them being Thaddeus, who I've talked about in previous reviews for this series. He's an evil little man, and him turning into a dog was the best thing that could happen, because he basically is Death's mutt the whole time. Not that I have anything against dogs, I love dogs, but you know what they say, you're just a lap dog. He's kind of Death's lapdog, so becoming a dog was kind of fitting for Thaddeus, because he's nothing but a lapdog who thinks he's smarter than everyone when he's just being used and abused by the biggest evil, who also thinks he's smarter than everyone, and that makes him easy to outplay and manipulate because he thinks he knows everything already. So Death has the upper hand in his mind, right? He thinks he has Mari and the Windriders and all of them captured and stuck, especially after he uses a bison bull to infect with the sickness and sends it into their water. He's like, oh, they can't drink from their water anymore, so they're gonna be stuck. And Thaddeus tells Death, you know one of them has the ability to heal, right? They can heal the water. And at that point, it was already too late. They'd already done that and thought of that. But Mari takes the poisoned water and drinks it before it's healed, and ends up using that to help life come into her body so that life can take Death back into her arms and back into slumber. Well, the reason it's kind of anticlimactic is because this whole series, they're setting up for this huge war against Death. They're drawing lines, they're coming up with strategies, they're bringing all these tribes together in order to put Death down. Yes, they know that Death can't be killed, so they are trying to come up with strategies to work around that, but because it ends with life coming into Mari after she sacrifices herself, takes Death into her arms, and that's pretty much it. They take out the rest of the mutants just like that. Like, I feel like the ending happens very fast once Death is in the arms of life, and it just felt very unsatisfying. I mean, Thaddeus died, but other than that, it was very unsatisfying because it was just too fast, and it seemed too easy for the main characters, especially because Death was like, oh, I'm so strong, I'm so powerful. And yeah, I think that's part of the point, is that Death's cockiness led to his downfall, but you could have made the main characters struggle a little bit. Like, this is the final battle, and it kind of basically just ends with a hug, and a few arrow shots. So, I don't know. I liked the rest of this series, even though some parts of it with the talk of forced intimacy and the gross out stuff in Death's perspective. I liked this series, and the anticlimactic end was just disappointing. So that is my thoughts on Earth Called and this series in general. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time.